God bless you, Patriots. Welcome. I'm unorganized. Good to see you guys. I hope I don't have to tell any of you guys that, yes, the president's alive. So ridiculous, huh? We're really seeing the media war take off. Everything's gotten turned on its head today. Not just whether or not the president's alive. Good to see you guys. I hope you're having a good Labor Day weekend. I woke up to a spider. It was scary. I took it outside. It's your fault, Jedi. All right, looking at some things here. Over 1,400 total arrests by the U.S. Marshal Service in D.C. 151 illegal guns seized as of today. Not bad at all, huh? This is kind of cool. Don't know what the date's about on there, but that's Monday, isn't it? The end is just the beginning. The New Money Revolution, second edition. I don't know. They put out these things. Very interesting stuff. All right. Getting into the gist of it here. President Trump goes missing from public view, and Trump died becomes trending on X. That and because he had nothing scheduled for the weekend. 2 whole days. It's terrible. And then the war correspondent. It actually is interesting because it lines up with a very fascinating Delta. Is President Trump dead? Trending on X right now. It's interesting that there's a matching Delta from today that concerns his safety. We would gladly end our lives to ensure that he lives. Q. I told you these Q posts are getting more and more close. That's the August 30th one from 7 years ago. News unlocks the map. News unlocks the map. Either way, they had to come out and say, yes, he's alive.
Right now, I do want to get you out to a live look over the White House at this hour as we do talk about the rumors that have blown up all over social media regarding the whereabouts of President Donald Trump. The White House saying he is completely fine. Take a look right here at what I'm talking about. This shows the trending topics there on Twitter or X. Now, over the last several hours, there have been several variations of hashtag where is Trump. The reasoning is that the president is normally in front of the cameras near daily, making some kind of remarks and taking questions from reporters. His last real public appearance was a televised 3-hour meeting with his cabinet. We showed that to you here on Live Now from Fox. That was on Tuesday.
These are the exact distractions they told us would be happening at this time. And right on the money and mark with it, this as well. Bill Clinton seen with a defibrillator at Hamptons Airport. They told you that was going to happen, too.
Now, we also want to take you to a developing story that we are following with the help of the New York Post. Take a look at your screen right here as they posted this a short time ago. Now, here's the situation. We know that former President Bill Clinton is now facing questions about his health after he was spotted in the Hamptons with what appeared to be a portable defibrillator. Photographs show someone accompanying the 79-year-old Democrat and his wife Hillary carrying what appeared to be a medical device of some kind. It's zoomed in on that photo there from the New York Post, which reported that it resembled an air medical bag. Now, the sighting comes just 2 months after Clinton was spotted stumbling on a New York City sidewalk outside of a cultural center.
After doesn't really matter as much as before, and it's before he gets subpoenaed in to talk about Epstein. He knows he's in deep shit, and they told us these guys would start faking illnesses, they would try fleeing, ratting on each other, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and man, it's right on the money. as well as the media distractions.
The former president was attending an event for his book First Gentleman, a political thriller that he co-authored with James Patterson. That's according to the Post. Clinton's health challenges have been public for about 2 decades now, dating back to his post-White House years.
Yep. Gonna see a lot of that coming up. It's awesome. A sign of the times is what I would call that right there. Makes me think more and more that some of this stuff happening is just your typical false flag stuff. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson signed an executive order defying President Trump's immigration crackdown and the surge of federal agents in the city. That's not so bad as them trying to teach the city how to resist the immigration raids. You'll find there was a lot of stuff in the news today about courts. Federal courts block Trump from doing this. Federal courts block him from doing that. He doesn't care anymore. They can't stop him. They have no authority to stop him. They're not going to.
I just want to ask, these reports that you're talking about, is this what we've been hearing about in the media? Is this a new report that's been confirmed in the city? Where are you guys hearing this? And when will the city residents be informed of what the city knows at this point?
Well, I'm telling you what the city knows, right? And here's what we do know, that the federal government, under the direction of President Donald Trump, is preparing to send an expansive slew of federal agents to the city of Chicago. And whether it's border control, ICE agents, right, this part, which is the most upsetting, is that he has funded the ICE division of the government at a rate that is only second to the American United States government and the Chinese military. And that's dangerous, right?
They're going to be there in like a week. I can't wait. It's going to be exciting.
Have you been briefed by anyone in the administration about these plans?
No one in the administration, the president or anybody under him, has called anyone in my administration and me, have not called the city of Chicago or anyone else. So it's clear that in
Why would they? He's been on TV being a dick about it. I wouldn't call you either, Mr. Pritzker. Call you Jay Beefy. It seems to fit. This is hilarious. California Highway Patrol to protect former VP Kamala Harris after Trump pulls Secret Service detail. This is what I picture. What do you guys think? California Highway Patrol? No? Yes? No?
Former Vice President Kamala Harris will receive protection from the California Highway Patrol after President Trump revoked her Secret Service protection, according to law enforcement sources. California officials have implemented a plan to provide Harris with dignitary protection following Trump's termination of an arrangement providing extended Secret Service security coverage. Trump signed a memorandum on Thursday ending Harris's protection, effective Monday. Sources not authorized to discuss the security matter confirmed.
Once Trump got reelected, I just sort of forgot she even existed. What's the matter, puppy? Is somebody setting off fireworks? I hear popping. Anyway, a federal judge issues order blocking Trump effort to expand speedy deportation of migrants. We take a look at that.
A federal judge blocked efforts from the Trump administration to speed up deportations of some illegal migrants. The policy would have applied to all migrants across the country. Right now, expedited removal only applies to those detained within 100 miles of the U.S. border. The judge slammed the efforts, saying the Fifth Amendment guarantees due process for migrants, too.
Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't. And that's why Trump's not going to abide by it. It doesn't in the least guarantee rights for illegals. On their first week back to school, dozens of students in Ohio were evacuated and hospitalized, but no one seems to know why yet.
Just several days after welcoming students back to classes, Mapleton Local School District is already off to a rough start. I'm Remy Murray to explain why.
It's not a fun situation. You never want to see that your child's getting taken to the hospital.
The last start of Braylon Goon's high school experience is not going quite as the senior says he imagined after Goon says he and other Mapleton middle and high school students were told to clear out. That reason is still being investigated by Ashland County Sheriff's Office. But what we do know from Sheriff Kurt Schneider is that around 30 students are now recovering at 7 regional hospitals across 5 counties.
We have a school resource officer assigned to the school, Deputy Nolan. He was here. He received notification from the staff at around 10 o'clock, 10:15, that they had some ill students in the school.
One of those students rushed to the hospital was Lexi Park's 12-year-old daughter, who she says is now at home.
She was in Medina County, so it's a county away from us. I wouldn't have even known where to go if I didn't know somebody at the school.
At the time of our interview, Park says she has yet to hear anything from district officials.
You can't even have the decency to cancel the freaking football game? That's more important than checking on these kids and figuring out what's wrong with the school. They've done nothing. But yet we're the problem.
Even more frustrating is that Parks claims the doctors didn't know what her daughter was experiencing. Yet Schneider says the students reported having similar symptoms associated with the common flu or carbon monoxide exposure. So he says multiple fire and EMS agencies were called, including Columbia Gas, who eventually confirmed in a statement that the situation was not natural gas related.
And they're all having these same symptoms, and the school's just trying to push it off like they all had panic attacks.
As the investigation continues, parents like Jennifer Miller says the district did what they needed to get students out the building.
I feel for this never happening at the school, they did the best that they could.
The parents are overreacting. The kids are crazy. That's wrong.
Outside of their concerns, parents are also calling on the school district to come up with better measures to get in contact with them during situations like this one. For News 5, I'm Remy Murray reporting.
I wonder what day that was. Day after the shooting, day of the shooting. The thing is, you know, they figured out it wasn't carbon monoxide poisoning, which is easy to detect and not really typical in a big area like a school. And you know if you got that, I mean, you have bad headache. The flu is a lot different than that, and obviously the flu doesn't spread that quickly. It sounds like panic attacks, and this is kind of what I was worried was going to happen with school in these shootings that have been happening lately. These kids are going to get scared. They didn't, I don't know. They shouldn't. What do? You shut down school, you frighten them. You continue with school, you frighten them. You lock down school, you frighten them. It sounds a lot like some mass hysteria, I gotta say. The world of quantum computing's up to some new interesting things, including these negligence, previously overlooked particles that could revolutionize quantum computing will revolutionize quantum computing.
Quantum computers promise to solve problems that today's most powerful supercomputers could never touch. But there's one big problem. Qubits, the building blocks of quantum computing, are fragile, unstable, and error-prone. Now, a surprising mathematical revival has revealed a class of overlooked particles with a catchy name, neglectons. And they just might be the missing piece to unlock the full power of quantum computing. To understand why neglectons matter, let's start with the problem. Qubits can exist in superposition, meaning they represent both 0 and 1 at the same time. This makes quantum computers powerful, like solving a giant maze by walking every path at once. But there's a catch. Qubits are extremely fragile. Interactions with the environment, heat, noise, even cosmic rays, can collapse them instantly, leading to errors. That fragility has made building large-scale, stable quantum computers one of the greatest challenges in modern science. One of the most promising ideas comes from exotic particles called anyones, which only exist in 2 dimensions. Unlike normal particles, Anyone's don't store information in themselves, but in how they braid around each other. Imagine tying knots in a rope. The pattern itself is the information. This kind of encoding makes anyone's naturally resistant to noise, and among them, Ising anyone's have been the star candidates for building topological quantum computers. But there's a problem. Ising anyone's aren't universal. It's like having a computer keyboard with only half the letters. Powerful, but incomplete. And this is where mathematicians made a breakthrough. For decades, physicists used a theory called topological quantum field theory to study particle symmetry. In that theory, some particles were assigned a quantum dimension of 0. With 0 weight, they were thrown out as irrelevant. But a team led by Aaron Lauda at USC revisited these so-called useless components. By applying a new mathematical lens called non-semi-simple topological quantum field theory, they found a way to reinterpret these zero-weight objects as real active quasi-particles. They named them neglectons. And here's the kicker. When combined with Ising anyone's, neglectons fill in the missing pieces. Think of it like this. Ising anyone's gave us half the alphabet. Add neglectons, and suddenly you've got the full keyboard. That means, in principle, you could build a fault-tolerant universal quantum computer using these particles alone, without needing extra error correction overhead or exotic new materials. If neglectons can be realized in real systems, they could revolutionize quantum computing.
It's pretty cool, I think. And they've been using quantum computing for a lot of interesting things, but one particularly is looking at this new object that's entered into our solar system.
Something just changed everything we thought we knew about interstellar visitors. In July 2025, astronomers detected our third ever interstellar object. And this time, something was different. Something that has quantum computers working overtime and defense agencies paying very close attention. Think about this for a second. In the entire history of human civilization, we've only confirmed 3 objects visiting us from beyond our solar system. 3. That's it. The first was Oumuamua in 2017, that weird cigar-shaped object that tumbled through our solar system at 26 kilometers per second and left astronomers scratching their heads. No comet tail, no gas emissions, just this strange, elongated visitor that didn't behave like anything we'd seen before. Then came 2I Borisov in 2019, which at least acted like a normal comet. You know, the kind with an actual tail and gas emissions that made sense to our models. But now we have 3I Atlas, discovered in July 2025. And this one is breaking records in ways that should probably concern us. 3I Atlas is absolutely screaming through our solar system at 58 kilometers per second. That's not just fast. That's more than twice the speed of Oumuamua. To put that in perspective, this thing could cross the entire continental United States in about 2.5 minutes. Its orbit is what astronomers call sharply hyperbolic, with an eccentricity over 6. Every planet, every asteroid, every comet born in our solar system has an eccentricity less than 1. This visitor is so unbound by our sun's gravity that it's basically giving physics the middle finger on its way through. Recent observations show it's actively releasing water vapor as it approaches the sun, so we know it's a comet. But here's where things get weird. The reason we're catching these visitors now isn't luck, it's technology. The Atlas survey has 4 robotic telescopes scanning the entire night sky every 24 hours. 2 in Hawaii, 1 in South Africa, 1 in Chile. Each night, they're gathering hundreds of gigabytes of data, looking for anything that moves, anything new, anything that shouldn't be there. John Tonry, who helped build Atlas, called it a cosmic burglar alarm. And that's exactly what it is. Humanity's early warning system for the rarest cosmic events.
All right, that's a long video, but it's pretty wild, isn't it? 58 kilometers per second. It's definitely moving fast. I don't know. What do you guys think about it? What do you think it is? All right, moving forward. Pam Bondi fired a Justice Department employee for gesturing at National Guard. What she did was flip off the National Guard And she might have even got away with that if she hadn't have went and bragged about it afterwards, which was pretty much the end of that situation. But the media, they're doing their thing hardcore today. Oh, she just fired her for no reason. And it's sort of like this story. McDonald's manager detained by ICE agents before his company picnic. And it says, I mean, when you read the article, it's like, oh, and he was supposed to be here, but he wasn't supposed to be in the country anymore. He's like 10 years past his limit.
Community concerns surrounding 51-year-old Christian Rodriguez of Baldwin, who, according to a GoFundMe page, was recently detained by ICE at an immigration hearing. Newsday's Bart Jones is looking into the case.
Christian came to the United States in 2015 on a tourist visa, so he came here legally. He was supposed to leave within 6 months. However, apparently during that time, he applied for political asylum.
Rodriguez works at this McDonald's on Atlantic Avenue in Oceanside, and his coworkers are raising money, hoping to help him. They weren't willing to speak on camera, but they say the money would be used to hire a lawyer for the well-loved manager. No one has been able to contact Rodriguez.
According to the ICE website, he is somewhere in New York, but it does not say where. I tried calling the number that they listed to find out where he's located, but no one answered. I left a message. I didn't get a return back.
Yeah, and about the school, Deb, I don't know, you know, maybe I'm sure they're looking at all things. It clearly, you know, they would have known quick if it was the food. Maybe they used some paint or something over the summer, and I don't know. It wasn't anything gas related, at least, I know. Check out this wild story. Remember the Trump Burger guy?
New tonight, KHOU 11 confirming the owner of Trump Burger Restaurants, which has several locations in the Houston area, has been arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement and now faces deportation. ICE says Roland Biani, a 28-year-old from Lebanon, overstayed his visa after entering the U.S. back in 2019. He was taken into custody in May and is now out on bond as he awaits immigration proceedings. In a statement sent to KHOU 11, an ICE spokesperson told us, quote, under the current administration, ICE is committed to restore integrity to our nation's immigration system by holding all individuals accountable who illegally enter the country or overstay the terms of their admission. This is true regardless of what restaurant you own or political beliefs you may have.
You know, you want to feel bad, but he put himself in that position. He overstayed by 6 years. He knew they were going after people for doing that. And that McDonald's guy before that, he actually had a police record. I don't know about the Trump Burger guy, but you know, he could have self-deported or something and maybe shown that, look, I've got this business. I don't know. Messed up though, huh? I remember when that opened. Here's an interesting article. Trump facing 25th Amendment calls as plan grows for his removal from office. They make it sound like there's an army against him. It's literally just Maxine Waters saying this.
As far as I'm concerned, we have to move very aggressively. It is not about, lingering and trying to think that maybe the courts will help us. I want, even though I know it may not happen, the cabinet that he's appointed, a bunch of his sycophants who probably won't do what I would recommend. It is time to call for Article 25 of the Constitution of the United States of America to determine his unfitness, to determine that something's wrong with this president.
Isn't that funny? You know, all the signs that were there from Joe Biden, and didn't seem to care too much about that. Ridiculous people. They're really stirring people up with this today. They were reporting early this morning that Trump had died. It was messed up. I don't know what to say. They're really trying to upset people and confuse people and distract people. Israel may cut humanitarian aid to Gaza City as starvation deaths rise. Now, look at the title of this. Israel may cut humanitarian aid to Gaza City as starvation deaths rise. Now listen to the story.
Israel on Friday declared Gaza City to be a dangerous combat zone, saying it would stop instituting daily pauses in fighting meant to help aid flow into the area, where experts say a famine is occurring among the hundreds of thousands of Palestinians sheltering there. It said it would continue to allow aid into the area, but it's unclear exactly how that would happen if hostilities do ramp up. Israel has urged Palestinians to flee south from Gaza City ahead of the planned offensive, and it says the city is a Hamas stronghold, but many Palestinians living there are reluctant to leave, unsure of where in Gaza is exactly safe or exhausted after multiple rounds of displacement. Meanwhile, health officials in Gaza said that the death count of Palestinians killed in the nearly 23-month war had surpassed 63,000, with 59 deaths reported in the last 24 hours. 5 of the deaths were from causes related to malnutrition or starvation, the officials said. Also Friday, Israel said it had recovered the remains of 2 hostages from Gaza. It identified one of the hostages as Ilan Weiss, an Israeli whose body was taken into Gaza after he was killed on October 7th, 2020.
We'll look more at the hostages in a bit, but they specifically said he's trying to keep aid going. It's entirely different from what the article said. Their attacks in Yemen on the Houthis managed to kill the prime minister, and they already got their replacement ready.
We carried out a significant strike against strategic targets of the Houthi terrorist regime in Yemen. Our message is clear: no containment.
The Prime Minister of Yemen's Houthi government and several other ministers were killed in an Israeli strike on the capital Sana'a. The news agency run by the group said, citing a statement by the head of the Houthi Supreme Political Council, Mahdi al-Mashat. Several others were wounded in the strike, it said, without providing details. Israel said that the airstrike had targeted the Iran-aligned group's chief of staff, defense minister, and other senior officials, and that it was verifying the outcome. Mashat's statement did not...
Weird, huh? Here's their replacement. Didn't take long, huh? All right. Moving forward here. Israel's like cleaning up terrorist house, and I don't know. I think Trump's all for it. Bernie Sanders demands that RFK Jr. step down as health secretary. That's what the article reports. Listen to this conversation Bernie's having, though. This will irritate you.
What is the life of an average resident? How many hours are you working? What about the stress that you're working under? Who wants to jump in on that?
I work about 70 hours a week.
70 hours?
Yeah. Our call shifts are 28 hours long.
I am a patient. Should I feel really good in getting treated by one of you who've been up for 24 hours?
You know, we handle every need from the patient, every page. You know, so it's not like the patients have a choice in like, oh, I want a fresh resident, you know, but ultimately I would want to concur with that. I'm a surgery resident and we definitely work 80 hours a week.
We're talking about working 70, 80?
No.
Are most of you working that?
These poor doctors, those poor, overworked doctors. Bernie's just so worried about them. Meanwhile, he wants RFK Jr. to stop doing what he's doing. Retard. I can't. Oh, and the health scare in Harlem that took 7 lives and hospitalized 90 people over a period of 3 weeks has now been declared over.
We do want to let you know about one more breaking story on this very busy Friday afternoon. The New York City Health Department has just declared the Legionnaires' outbreak in central Harlem officially over. Now, during the last 3 weeks, a total of 114 cases were identified. 90 people were hospitalized, and tragically, 7 people died. 6 people remain in hospitals. But again, the city says this outbreak is now over.
Been years since they had an outbreak like that. Appeals court rules against Trump's plan to end legal protections for 600,000 Venezuelan migrants. One more thing for him to ignore.
This morning, a victory for Venezuelans living in the United States. A federal appeals court has blocked the Trump administration's plan to end protection for 600,000 Venezuelans. CBS News Miami's Yvonne Taylor is in Doral with reaction.
Venezuelans here tell me that it feels like a ray of light, though some did say that their work permit had expired, leaving them at risk of deportation. But at the same time, I've noticed people feeling more comfortable speaking about their status.
Yeah, right. I guarantee you he will deport those people. Might have something to do with this situation in Venezuela heating up.
On a humid Friday night, beneath the watchful eyes of both international media and local canal authorities, the USS Lake Erie CG-70, a U.S. Navy missile cruiser, cut its way through the historic waters of the Panama Canal. The scene, though familiar to the canal's long history of maritime traffic, carried far heavier implications this time: Washington's growing naval presence near Venezuela's shores. The warship entered from the Pacific side at approximately 9:30 p.m. local time, beginning its deliberate 8-hour, 80-kilometer journey through the locks and channels that link 2 oceans. AFP journalists stationed along the Pedro Miguel Lock confirmed the passage, capturing every moment of the vessel's advance. For Panama's citizens, the sight of a U.S. warship is not entirely unusual.
What will they do? I don't think they're going to go into Venezuela. I don't know. Maybe they're just waiting for them to destroy themselves. A woman who claims she didn't even know she was pregnant spontaneously, love that wording there, delivered a baby at the Burning Man festival. Only a Burning Man.
A Salt Lake woman gave birth at the Burning Man festival this week, and she didn't even know she was pregnant. She was about 35 weeks along, and it was an ectopic pregnancy, or what some people call a tubal pregnancy, and they say it shocked her entire family. David Ochoa talked with them tonight. And David, first off, how's that 35-week baby doing?
Well, thankfully, mom and baby and even dad are doing just fine. The baby still is in the NICU, but once it gets stronger, she'll be able to come home back here to Utah. Now, all of this was made possible partly due to a perfect storm of timing, as well as people being willing to help.
This baby makes me an aunt.
A little bit surprising, huh?
Is that typical? I don't... I mean, I know sometimes at first it can be hard to tell, but 35 weeks, how do you not know you're pregnant? Good luck to that child. Tensions rise between Tulsi Gabbard and CIA chief after her disclosure of undercover officer's name, according to insiders. Uh-oh.
So Tulsi Gabbard just did something absolutely insane. She went on Twitter and posted the name of an undercover CIA agent. Think about that for a second. It's literally her job to know this stuff and keep it a secret. Yet, instead, she's blasting it out from the whole world to see. In any other administration, this would be career-ending. You'd be fired on the spot. Because exposing an undercover agent doesn't just put them in danger, it puts every operation, every ally, every American relying on them at risk. But under Trump's incompetent administration, this level of recklessness is treated like business as usual.
She's definitely made a few significant mistakes, but she's also kicking some ass and working her butt off. Otherwise, she might be shit-canned. Boston whistleblower warns of migrant crime spillover as Trump's crackdown looms. This is interesting.
So you got this whistleblower that comes out of Boston, Massachusetts, and said the local governments are totally full of shit, that's a migrant shelter, and that the corruption and the collusion is just absolutely out of control. That women are disappearing, children are being trafficked, even inside the migrant shelter, they're being compromised. She goes, I'm so sad to report this, but it's disgusting and we can't control it. And now that the migrant shelter is being shut down, what do you think is going to happen to the streets? They're pouring into the streets into the night. Children need to run and hide. Women need to protect their families. That describing this as getting out of hand is such an understatement. And then she continues to go on and say that it's so sad that the hatred for...
I want to look at something else associated with this really quick.
Welcome to another episode of Headline Huddle. Today we're diving into a really heated discussion surrounding Boston. We're looking at its crime rates and the very different views on how to handle public safety.
Yeah, it's a fascinating clash, isn't it? You've got local governance bumping right up against national policy ideas.
Exactly. Okay, Let's unpack this. We're exploring a pretty compelling report featuring a whistleblower from Massachusetts. He paints a vivid picture suggesting Boston is facing some significant challenges. What are the key claims to start us off?
So what's really striking here is the account from John Featherston. He used to be a migrant shelter director. And he describes Boston as being in, quote, a great decline. He links this directly to an increase in certain types of crime.
A great decline. That's strong language. What specifically is he pointing to regarding the shelters?
Well, he talks about these former state-run hotel shelters. He says they were known for reports of criminal activities happening there, things like sex trafficking and other really severe abusive acts.
Okay, that's already quite serious. But here's where it gets...
What's really significant about this guy was a Democrat, running one of these shelters, and now he's out there trying to warn people that we might be in trouble. The Walking Tall sheriff accused of murdering his wife following a cold case twist. Buford Pusser. Let's take a look at what kind of trouble he's in.
Last year, this was the stunning development in a decades-old cold case. The body of Pauline Mullins Pusser was exhumed and an autopsy was performed. Strangely enough, when Pusser was murdered in 1967, investigators did not perform an autopsy, largely because of who she was married to, famed McNairy County Sheriff Buford Pusser. That cold case investigation is now complete. Chris Davis shares what was found.
Understand the difference between a poor, honest judge and a rich, dishonest one?
Perhaps nothing stands quite as tall as the persona of Sheriff Buford Pusser. In the 1973 movie Walking Tall, plus the many other adaptations that have come after.
You're all fired.
And while the real life of the McNairy County Sheriff was just as dramatic,
as sheriff, Pusser survived 7 stabbings and 8 shootings.
Questions have lingered for decades about the death of his wife, Pauline.
Pauline threatened to report Buford's corruption to the TBI. And he allegedly said, if you try that, you won't live to see the light of day.
It was August 12th, 1967.
The morning in question, the sheriff claims his wife came with him on a call when they were ambushed and shot in their car, killing Pauline and badly injuring the sheriff.
The case, built largely on Buford's own statement, closed quickly. Perhaps too quickly.
But over the last 3 years, the TBI and the local district attorney have reopened this cold case and were disturbed by what they found.
Events did not occur, as stated by Buford Pusser, and that Pauline Pusser was more likely than not shot outside the vehicle and then placed inside the vehicle.
Including doubts about how the sheriff received his own gunshot wounds.
That the gunshot wound to Buford Pusser's cheek was a close contact wound, not long range, as Buford Pusser described, and likely self-inflicted.
It's led them to this haunting conclusion.
That would allow us, if he were alive today, to present an indictment to the McNairy County Grand Jury.
The uncomfortable reality is a lot of people may have grown up watching this tough-on-crime West Tennessee sheriff, or at least the version they showed in the movies, and it inspired them to go into law enforcement. But it's also crucial to remember that to the family of Pauline Mullins Pusser, this was a real-life crime in a real-life nightmare.
I loved her with all my heart, and I missed her horribly.
Griffin Mullins is Pauline's last surviving sibling. He shared this pre-recorded response to the findings.
Just thank God that I finally got a closure. I lost my other sister, and I'm just sorry that she's not here to learn.
The file's not going to give you a...
She probably wouldn't have gotten anywhere exposing his corruption to TBI because they're pretty corrupt too. Still are. All right. Moving forward here. This was an interesting post I came across today. The following U.S. states are currently using the rebranded Reporti Homeland Security software, now known as Carbine. The program was started by Ehud Barak, Jeffrey Epstein, and Peter Thiel. It's an Israeli-developed surveillance system sold as an emergency response startup that can access your phone's camera, microphone, geolocation, Wi-Fi, and more without needing an application. It's not open source, and there's no way of knowing if it's being used to spy on you. And those states include California, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Louisiana, Missouri, Nevada, New Mexico, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Washington, and Wyoming. It's just a disturbing thought. Don't know what the truth of that is. Female students at the Temecula Valley Unified School District who feel uncomfortable sharing spaces like restrooms or locker rooms with male students, trans students. The school requires the girl or her parents to fill out a mental health accommodation request form. So now if you have a problem with trans people, it's a mental health issue. So now mentally stable girls are having to self-declare they are the ones who are mentally ill just for wanting privacy from the mentally ill. That's sad right there. And it turns out this whole Cracker Barrel thing might have an unusual twist to it. Something done completely on purpose.
This victory? It's half-baked biscuits. The logo is back, but the snakes are still slithering in the barn. Dig deeper. This story reeks of something far more sinister. I smell sabotage, potentially by Wall Street big investors. You see, before the reveal, short interest spiked. Big players betting against the stock, maybe. An investor warned Cracker Barrel 4 times with a 120-page report calling the rebrand, quote, folly. But BlackRock and Vanguard and Little Miss Julie shut him down. Then, boom, announcement. Backlash, plunge, and instead of listening to the overwhelming public outcry, Cracker Barrel doubled down. What capitalist, what business group in their right minds would do this? This was brand suicide, brandicide. But we've seen things like this before. If you ask some of the more black-pilled members of our high finance society, they might say this reeked of a classic pump and dump in reverse. How many with insider information shorted before the makeover? Some curious minds want to know. Did BlackRock and Vanguard have a more sinister plan? Crash Cracker Barrel, an American icon, and then have one of their side groups waiting in the wings to buy it all back for pennies on the dollar? Was it Julie Messino herself? Did she have a boutique firm waiting in the wings to buy up a crashed Cracker Barrel? One has to wonder. Schemes like this, big investors win, and they've done it before. This is not an unprecedented kind of scheme, so it's not unbelievable. And small investors get and got hammered. Millions of dollars lost in a day. If Martha Stewart did time for a tiny trade harming no one, what about this $200 million potentially engineered disaster? SEC, where are you? Investigate now. Insider trading, false reports. Let the
Well, here's the thing. If that's the truth, It seems to me that BlackRock and these companies are in the white hat hands, in my opinion. So why would they want to do that on purpose would be what you would have to ask yourself. And to that, I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure on that one, but I'm going to be thinking about that one more. And the People's Deputy of Ukraine, Andrei Parubi, has been killed in Lviv, Western Ukraine. The cause of his demise has been revealed now. He was executed on the streets. This is a weird story.
In Ukraine, shock and fear ripple through a nation at war. In broad daylight, a gunman strikes down one of its most polarizing political figures. Andrei Parubi, a former speaker, a fierce nationalist, a relentless critic of Volodymyr Zelensky, now gunned down in Lviv. Ukraine asks, who ordered the killing and why? A high-profile assassination has jolted Ukraine. Former parliamentary speaker Andrei Parubi was shot dead in the western city of Lviv on August 30th, sparking a nationwide manhunt for his killer. The Prosecutor General's office confirmed that a gunman opened fire on the 54-year-old Parubi around noon, killing him instantly before escaping. Law enforcement agencies swiftly sealed off parts of the city and began a search for the attacker. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the murder as a national tragedy.
Ukraine's Minister of Internal Affairs Ihor Klimenko and Prosecutor General Ruslan Kravchenko have just reported the first known circumstances of the horrendous murder in Lviv.
It could have been, something ordered by Putin, but I doubt it. There's a lot of Russian sighting people in Ukraine. They aren't very happy with the direction that they're going. And since they've attacked Russian oil refineries again, Russia's attacking back hard. These drone strikes are getting wild, huh? It's going to be more and more of those. This was an interesting post from Donald Trump today. Should have a different meaning? I don't know. I used at the White House the most beautiful marble and stone available anywhere. Services are very important to me as a builder. As everyone knows, I built many great buildings and other things over the years. At the White House, I'm very proud of the beautiful stonework we did in the Rose Garden. In this case, using Limestone Plus. The Rose Garden is completed and far more beautiful than anyone ever had in mind when it was conceived of decades ago. 3 days ago, while admiring the stonework, I happened to notice a huge gash in the limestone that extended more than 25 yards long. It was deep and nasty. I started yelling, "Who did this?" I wanted to find out now. And I didn't say this in a nice manner. I wondered, was it vandalism or was it stupidity? Lo and behold, because of the fact that we've installed the finest security equipment anywhere, they brought back the stupid people with their boss watching. It was a subcontractor that was installing heavy landscaping on a steel cart that was broken and tilting badly, with it rubbing hard against the soft, beautiful stone. I love and respect great workers and contractors, but something like this should never happen. Now I'll replace the stone, charge the contractor, and never let that contractor work the White House again. But how great is the video equipment? We caught them cold. America great again. Maybe it's more about the video equipment that he's talking about. And maybe it's caught something interesting. I don't know. He did share the video of it along. I don't know. Trump cracks me up. That very well could be just over the contractors. They've identified these hostages that were brought back from Gaza, and now they're talking about trying to start another ceasefire. I swear this situation's, it just doesn't make sense, but we'll look at this for a second.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, 7:49 on the East Coast and 4:49 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow. I'm here on this Friday, August 29th, to bring you all of your top stories, and we are following some breaking news coming in out of the Middle East. Specifically, this involves Israel and the situation in Gaza. I do want to pop this up on your screen as we are getting information from the Israel Defense Forces about the body of a deceased hostage being recovered. We're talking about Elon Weiss. Now, the IDF posting this a short time ago on social media with some information saying that the body of deceased hostage Elon Weiss was recovered. They did recover him there. He was held hostage for 693 days in Gaza, and he has been recovered in a joint IDF and ISA military operation. Elon was from Kibbutz Be'eri and left his home on the morning of October 7th to join the kibbutz emergency response team. He was murdered and kidnapped by Hamas during the October 7th massacre. His wife, Shiri, and his daughter, just 19 years old, were taken hostage into Gaza and released during the ceasefire deal in November 2023. May his memory be a blessing. Again, this is a post with his picture there on the left-hand side of your screen.
All right, moving forward, actually, that is all our news tonight. We got a lot of different things to look at tonight, and I wanted to look at some things a little different than we normally watch, just mainly because there wasn't a lot on tonight. A lot of these guys are running the cross stream, a live stream for Louis Herms announcing his candidacy for governor of California. And they've been running it all day, and different people have been coming on and talking. And I seen Juan was supposed to go on at some point, but it's hard telling when, and a bunch of the channels are running it. So I thought we'd take the opportunity to look at some different things, and there are some good things just to look at. And I really wanted to start with this interview from Captain Kyle with Bob Kraft, because it's been a long time since we watched Bob Kraft, and he really does have some fascinating things to say. A lot of other great, interesting stuff coming up, so stick with us, and